everyone, it's Melissa here with G-Free, the gluten-free blog for Austin. I'm here with Ann Allen, Director of Gluten Intolerance Group of Austin, a support group dedicated to helping those who are gluten-free and looking to find out more about gluten-free. And we're going to be talking about what the group does, how you can get involved, and just what it's like to be a part of the gluten-free community.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because it seems like support groups are kind of going by the wayside a little bit because everybody finds information online.
Yeah.
Which is sad because it's nice to meet people that are like you and to get together with them.
Yeah.
Especially when it's about food.
Yeah, definitely. And I think especially talking with my sister, she tells me a lot about, I wish there was someone there who I could ask about, like, where do you shop, and how do you just deal with it emotionally, and I don't know what it's like because I don't go through like the medical things and the stomach aches and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But
well, and that was the reason the support group was formed. It's part of the national gig. So Gluten Intolerance Group of North America is the parent organization, and that's run by Cynthia Cooper and her mom, and now her kids. And it's really cool because it's a family-oriented group,
right?
But they do a lot for having a small amount of people, and they just, I think, this past year hired a bunch of people. So they do so much. I don't know if you've ever seen their website.
I haven't yet. I just found the Austin group.
Yeah, if you just go to gluten.net, you'll see theirs. And they have restaurant certifications. They work with hotels to make sure that they know what gluten-free is and how to cook for their guests. They do testing of food to see if it truly is gluten-free. If you've ever seen on a gluten-free product, it's got a GF with a circle around it.
Right.
That's their symbol.
Okay.
And there's not a when it comes to food labeling laws, right now they'll label the top 8 allergens, but there's no definition of what gluten-free is.
Right.
And
that's one thing I've been reading, and there's even like regulations on the like particles of gluten.
Right, 20 parts per million. You'll hear that, less than. And I don't know if you saw the brouhaha about Jenny's Bakehouse products
No,
here in
I
Austin.
didn't.
Yeah, there's a woman that makes gluten-free products, and they're sold at a farmer's market, and then People's Pharmacy carry them as well. And we had quite a few members complain about how they got sick afterwards. So we had the product tested through GIG, and it came back 10,000 parts per million, which is an actual ingredient, not cross-contamination. So we've been working hard to have her stop making her products.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems with the labeling is there's no definition. So then how do you go after someone that's not making a proper gluten-free product? But luckily I think there's some senators and congressmen whose family members probably have celiac now, and so there is a big push to get a legal definition. So you'll hear him.
Yeah, and another thing that I hear about is the cross-contamination that, these places like, I'm sure you've heard about Wildwood Cafe. Well, I met with the owner a couple weeks ago, and she was telling me about her experience going to different pizzerias, and that they label things gluten-free, but they are lacking in their cross-contamination efforts.
And they might not have like a specific place back in the kitchen where they only prepare gluten-free.
Yeah.
I know Brick Oven's really good about it because Christine that runs the one on Brody is celiac. So she kind of started that whole Brick Oven. And that's where it starts, is with one person who might be affected by having either celiac themselves or someone in their family, and they own a restaurant, and so they...
Yeah, there's awareness for it. Yeah.
But our support group, you don't have to, there is a membership, but that just gets you a newsletter that comes out we do it every month. But you don't have to pay that $20 to come to the meetings, and we welcome everybody. And really anyone that has, any type of problems with gluten. So we have quarterly meetings. We have one that's coming up in January. I believe it's the 18th. It's usually the third Wednesday, or we just had one on a Thursday to test out that date. And we will have a speaker in January. We just haven't confirmed who it's going to be. And we have speakers anywhere from like naturopaths to doctors, people who are, experts in nutrition, or just someone who's developed a business. There's a woman named Jenny Bear in Dallas. She's really interesting. You should Google her. She's a dynamic speaker, and she works in a wellness clinic in Dallas. And she came and spoke to our group, and she was very positive. Yeah.
That's good.
And then we also have a 5K that we do, and it just happened in September. It's called Got Guts. And what's cool about that is, besides it being a 5K, which there's like a 1K for the kids and then a 5K for kids and adults, we have the largest gluten-free food fair in Texas, because we have all these vendors that come in, and then people run the race, and then they can eat, which is cool.
Yeah, I bet. And about how many people are in the group?
Well, our group is Austin, San Antonio, and Corpus.
Okay.
So we're gig of Central and South Texas. And I'm really not sure how many members we have, but I can find that out for you.
Yeah.
Because we have quite a few. The San Antonio group is the one that kind of got everything rolling. And then Corpus and Austin, we kind of jumped on the bandwagon. So the group in San Antonio is very established. I mean, we are here too in Austin, but not quite like they are.
I saw on the website that there was like events scheduled, and is that just in Austin that you guys meet?
No, it's in Austin, San Antonio, and Corpus, and we on the calendar we'll always post what events are coming up. In San Antonio, they're lucky because Ann Barfield, that runs the group there, has a bed and breakfast, which is another cool thing. It's a gluten-free bed and breakfast, and she'll have events at her place, which is nice. They'll have a Thanksgiving potluck.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and everybody shows up. So, and with our meetings here in Austin, we'll do potlucks. If we don't have a speaker, then just in October they did a roundtable discussion about how to make quick and easy, meals for dinner and things like that. We also have, and we just started it because they've had it in San Antonio for a long time, but a gluten-free 101 class, and I teach that at the Whole Foods Culinary Center.
Oh, okay.
And there's one coming up in January. So I did one in October, and I'll do another one in January, and I hope that we can have it more often than once a quarter.
Yeah.
Because people are getting diagnosed all the time.
That was the next thing I was going to ask. How prevalent are you noticing celiac and gluten intolerance?
It's really increasing.
It's growing.
Yeah. So GIG has a conference every year, and at the one in July, it was in Orlando, many doctors came to speak, and they had just come from the International Celiac Conference. And what's cool is that they finally all came together as all these different, because there's so many doctors that diagnose celiac disease. It can be your chiropractor, you'll hear stories of someone, going to their acupuncturist or naturopath or regular doctor or gastroenterologist. But they all came together and said that gluten intolerance, separate from celiac disease, is actually a larger problem than what was thought at the beginning. And that's because there wasn't enough research into it to see how gluten was affecting their body. Because a lot of people, they're told they're gluten intolerant. It's like, avoid it, see how you feel. You might be able to have a little bit here and there, just see what your symptoms are. But now they're finding that those folks can't really go by just their symptoms because there's damage going on in their intestinal tract and in other places. They found that schizophrenics actually respond to a gluten-free diet.
Wow.
And some of them will go off of their medication. when they get off of gluten. So I think you're going to see even more people get diagnosed because they're doing all the research now to come up with a way to better diagnose people that are gluten intolerant. Because with celiac disease, they know there's a gold standard. You get the positive blood test, and then you get a biopsy that shows the damage to the villi in your small intestine. With gluten intolerance, there's people that don't necessarily show damage in their intestines, or they might test negative to the blood test. And then they get diagnosed some other way.
Right.
Usually a stool test, or some do a saliva test. It just kind of depends.
Yeah. In my sister's case, she had years of, stomach pains and discomfort and all that type of thing. And I remember she saw Elizabeth Hasselbeck on The View.
Yeah,
she did. And she started thinking, well, maybe it'd be something to try, try to keep it out of my diet for 2 weeks and see how I feel. And just in that short time that she, stayed away from bread and all those types of things, she noticed that she was feeling a lot better. And after that, it was self-diagnosed. She hasn't been officially diagnosed, but, she's been GF ever since.
Yeah.
And, so we've just been trying to figure out,
and that's how a lot of people get diagnosed, is that they do it themselves, which is sad in a way because the traditional medical profession has really kind of shied away from the other ways that you can get diagnosed. But you also hear, like with your sister, they'll say, just go off of it and see how you feel, and that's going to be your barometer.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what was your experience
with getting diagnosed?
Yeah.
Yes. I always had stomach problems from the time. I mean, I can't remember a time where I didn't have stomach problems. And they told me, you have irritable bowel syndrome.
That's what
IBS.
they told my sister.
Yeah, they put me on all types of medication. And then finally, I was in my early 30s, and I got food poisoning, and I just couldn't get well after that.
Oh wow!
And I had my gallbladder removed prior to
that.
that,
My goodness.
which I find out now I probably didn't need to have that done. That it was the celiac disease that was making my gallbladder not work. So finally, I ended up in the ER because I was so nauseated. And I went to my doctor the next day and I said, what test have we not done? And he said, well, we've never scoped you. We've never gone down, to look. He found it. And what was interesting is he said, well, your symptoms weren't typical. And I was like, diarrhea, weight loss, nausea.
Typical of celiac?
Those are very typical of celiac. So he wasn't as well educated and he was a gastroenterologist.
Wow.
And my journey's been a little different because I went gluten-free and then didn't get better. I felt better for a while, but then I would feel bad again. So I've seen a lot of doctors, but I've now found all the good ones.
Do you think that's because of the existing damage that you had?
It was the damage, and then the fact that no one ever diagnosed me with leaky gut, which is something that can happen to a lot of people that get diagnosed later in life and do have a lot of damage. And leaky gut is just your gut, your intestines thin out, and so what you eat leaks out into your body, and your body starts producing antibodies against it, saying, hey, this is not supposed to be here, this is a foreign object. And so your whole body just goes into an inflammatory response. And when that happens, then you get set up in your gut for yeast overgrowth or bacterial overgrowth, and it's just a vicious cycle.
Right.
So yeah, I went through all of that.
Wow.
And because of this, I'm now getting a nutrition certification because I'm like, I just need to help other people now that have had the same thing, because I've learned so much. So I want to be a wellness coach. One thing I did want to mention about our group is we have an email listserv.
Okay.
Which I'll give you the information because your sister would probably love that, because you can go online and you can search what people have already posted, but then you can also post, hey, I'm heard about this restaurant that's got gluten-free. Has anyone been there? Have you had any success?
Yeah. I think that's definitely helpful, because that's one of the things I want to do eventually on my blog is put together a list of restaurants. So people have it there, because with her, a lot of times, we're Googling gluten-free restaurants, and they have a gluten-free menu, but not specifically like items made with like alternative flours and that type of thing.
And that's one thing that Gig has, is they do have a program that restaurants can go through. Like P.F. Chang's went through it, Johnny Carino's. A lot of the chains that you've heard of that have had gluten-free menus for a long time. And it's great because they'll work with, the restaurant to help them get that certification. And there's something else I was going to say. I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, that's great to know about. I know she would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a Facebook page too. And that's nice because you can post, whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a community of people in there. It seems like Facebook's going to take over the world.
Yeah.
So everybody goes for any kind of news, that or Twitter.
Yeah.
And we keep talking about doing a Twitter, and I'm like, yeah, y'all are going to want me to do that. I don't have time.
I think you should. Yeah, I've been in touch with different gluten-free people in Austin, just in general, and there's a big community on Twitter. So I think that would be good tool for you guys.
I don't know how many other bloggers you found, or because there doesn't seem to be.
There's a couple, but not very many.
Yeah, there's and one person that you'd probably enjoy talking to is Karen Morgan, who has Blackbird Bakery. She's actually teaching a class today at the Culinary Center at Whole Foods, but she is not making her product anymore, which is kind of sad because her baking is amazing. She mainly used to cook for wealthy people, stars, that she would ship her product to. Interestingly enough, her father is my dentist.
Oh, wow.
Their whole family are celiacs, every single one of them.
Wow.
Yeah. And her and her mom are fantastic cooks, and so she has a cookbook out. Another really good cookbook author is Jennifer Sinkapalmi, and she's in Dallas and involved with the Dallas group. The Dallas Gig group is huge and very well organized.
Oh, wow.
They have their board of directors, they're great.
Yeah.
And that would actually be another person if you want to talk to Betty Barfield that runs that one. She's a strong force in the gluten-free community.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that. We're from Dallas, so yeah, that would be a good place for her to get plugged into also.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm jealous of their group.
So how do you think Austin is as far as the gluten-free movement? Austin's a healthy city, but I'm wondering what your experience has been with the awareness.
I've found with restaurants that it's the smaller, more expensive restaurants where you have the foodies there that really understand gluten-free.
Yeah.
But there's this huge trailer movement too.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen. That's hard because it's a small environment, so you're either going to be all gluten-free or not gluten-free. I don't. It's kind of interesting to me because I don't think Austin is as forward thinking yet when it comes to the gluten-free movement, but it's coming. I mean, I work at Whole Foods, and we're not even there yet. And we do have a large gluten-free section in the store and everything, but we haven't made that jump to this is not a fad.
Yeah.
It's just going to get bigger.
Yeah. That's been, what I've seen is it's looked at more as a fad. Like, this is the diet of today. And,
right.
Yeah. And when you mentioned food trailers, it reminded me of, we actually went to the Gypsy Picnic.
Yeah.
That was last weekend, or I don't know. And there was one trailer that had a gluten-free item of all the places. And my sister was just dying because she wanted to eat so many things.
That's gotta be, that's hard. I know there's a guy that has a trailer on South Lamar near that H2O car wash that's at Barton. It's at Chalupas.
Oh, okay.
And I think everything he has is gluten-free except for one thing. and that's the only one
Yeah.
that I know of. I had a woman contact me that has a trailer, and we were supposed to talk about cross-contamination, and then I didn't hear back from her, so I don't know if she's still doing the trailer or something happened. I think, having a trailer is an awesome way to get a gluten-free restaurant, going.
Yeah.
Because you have that small space. You don't have to worry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It would be great.
And so, what's been your experience in places to shop? Like you mentioned, Whole Foods has some gluten-free items.
If you had asked me that question 5 years ago, I would have said, oh my God, there's barely any place to shop, But Central Market, H-E-B, Randall's, Sprouts, Sunflower Market, Natural Grocer, they all have gluten-free sections. And H-E-B, I know, is getting ready to... They've rolled out a couple of the products, but they're going to have a bunch of their own brand products that are gluten-free.
That's good to know. Yeah, we've noticed H-E-B is starting to get, some of those like gluten-free pastas and labeling a couple things gluten-free.
Yeah. Yeah, if you go to the larger H-E-Bs, I think they have the sections. The smaller ones don't have them quite yet. Or if they do, they're in this little small area. So to me, grocery shopping is easy. I think the frustrating part is that you have to go to more than one most of the time. I mean, I work at Whole Foods, and I still have to go to other stores to get certain products. Because Whole Foods, has certain standards. So they might not carry something that's got, some bad ingredient in it. Yeah. And a lot of people order things online. Especially if you've got like an Amazon Prime account or something like that. You can order in bulk if you're cooking for your family.
Yeah.
So online ordering is great too.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
I mean, there's tons of places online.
Yeah.
And mixes that you can't get in stores here.
Yeah.
And with baking, it's all about finding what you like. Because same with like the different pastas. Because, you can get gluten-free pasta that are corn and quinoa and rice and potato. And it's just finding which one you like.
Yeah, that's been our experience. Rice pasta, corn pasta, and sometimes, it's like, what's the recipe better with, and that type of thing. Yeah. So I guess going back to the group a little bit, what would you say to someone out there, like, who's just finding out about this, they want to get plugged in?
Definitely, I mean, first thing is to go to our website, see when the next meeting is, or really any event that we have. Like the Gluten-Free 101 class is great for newbies.
Yeah.
Just because we give you the basics. And then I probably spent 45 minutes the last time just talking and answering people's questions. And get on Facebook. There's actually a meetup group too that's online that's gluten-free. So there's a lot of different options to plugging into that gluten-free community here in Austin.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a scary world once you start looking into it, and some people are told, okay, stay away from wheat, and then you start reading labels and there's wheat everywhere.
Yeah. I know. I had an acquaintance when I got diagnosed that took me grocery shopping, which is one of the reasons when I started working at Whole Foods, I started doing tours there. And I don't do them as often as I did because I think it's just hard for people to get there. The groups kind of got smaller and smaller. But we have other folks there that can do a tour if you need it. But it's nice to have someone to go shopping with because they can point out, because when you go in the grocery store, you're looking at every product possible and having to read labels, and it's great that people have cell phones now because you can call the manufacturers when you're standing at the store and say, is your product gluten-free? But I've had several friends get diagnosed recently, and I'm always like, okay, let me know when you're ready to go to the grocery store.
Yeah. What would be like a typical tour? What would happen along that?
When I do my tours, we start in the gluten-free aisle, and now at Whole Foods they're calling it special diets.
Okay.
And we start there, and I just show all the different products that are available. And then we walk through the other sections because Whole Foods has products, sprinkled in everywhere. And we just walk through every section pretty much and talk about, and I also talk about, everything on the perimeter with the exception of the bakery section at any grocery store. All that stuff is gluten-free. Meats, vegetables, fruits, nuts, cheeses if you can have cheese. I mean, all those things are there.
Yeah.
But it's hard because when you're first diagnosed, you want to eat like you used to. So you want to find the breads and the crackers and the macaroni and cheese and the cookies and the cakes. And all those things are there, but most people that have gut issues would probably do best to just eat the basics at first. And then you can add in, you can figure out what are all the goodies that you like that you can eat, later on. There's plenty of that out there. And like you mentioned, Wildwood has great desserts and
they
cakes
do.
and cookies.
I know, every time we go in there, my sister's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like you don't know
when
what
was the
to
last time I
order.
had a cupcake?
I know.
Yeah.
There's Delish on 2nd Street that does
I haven't
cupcakes.
been there.
They clean their kitchen at night, and in the morning bake their gluten-free stuff, put it all away, and then put all their product away, and then they make their other products. Which is what a lot of bakeries do that do gluten-free.
Yeah.
Wildwood's different because they're completely gluten-free. And I like how they can cater to soy-free, dairy-free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have a great place there. I've been there a lot.
Yeah.
And I love their stuff.
And there's two up north, too. There's Bee's Knees Bake Shop, which just opened, I think in this year. And then Food for Life, but then they're also called something else. And they have a storefront, and they're like Wildwood. You can go there and get baked goods and meals and things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Did I answer your question? I was trying to remember what your original question was.
About shopping.
Yeah,
and
shopping.
The tour.
Oh yeah, the tour.
Yeah. I think the tour is a great thing to keep in mind, even if it's not so common, but whenever it does happen.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Dan Merrick, that is the healthy eating expert at the store, can do them too. And he's there. I work as an IT, but he's there in the store a lot. And he knows quite a bit about gluten-free.
Have you noticed any progress with like bigger companies? One thing I thought was great was Chex. We bought some Chex the other day, and they had gluten-free labeled big on the package.
That was a big win for the gluten-free community because they finally made Chex Mix and all the different Chex products. And then I think Rice Krispies is if it's not already, it's gonna be gluten-free because that's had rice. It had barley in it.
Okay.
Barley malt. And what's the other one? I think it's Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops, or one of those like fruity ones. I was like, wow, now that one's gluten free. And I think you're going to see that more often, especially with the demographic getting larger and larger for gluten free products. I'm trying to think what other company like that's coming out with gluten-free products. I can't think of it, but I'm sure.
Yeah. There's definitely, every once in a while, I notice one, and it's great label on the package, and it makes it easy. Even though you probably still check the ingredients just to double check. But it makes it a lot helpful.
And that's another thing, too, is the labeling. They need to come up with just a standard label and where to put it, because it seems like you have to search for it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I keep waiting for Campbell's Soup to get on the gluten-free bandwagon. I think they're going to at some point. Because I know Progresso Soups did. And they're one of they've got their, I think, cream of mushroom that's gluten-free. Which people are always trying to find cream of something.
Yeah, exactly.
To make their casseroles. Green bean casserole for Thanksgiving.
But definitely. It's been crazy how big label reading is, and how kind of behind it is as far as catering to gluten-free people.
Right.
I have also noticed occasionally listed under, like, specifically it says product contains wheat, soy, and that type of thing.
Right. And a lot of companies, I think, are putting them manufactured in a, plant or facility that also, and that's really, I think, just to cover for legal reasons.
Yeah.
And that's pretty common. And I tell people, if you're worried about that particular product, then call the manufacturer and just talk to them about what their, processes are, because they're supposed to clean lines between preparing different things, and there's standards for that.
Yeah, and I think that's something people should really know about, that they have that power to call and just, find out directly.
Yeah. And if you think about it, if more and more people call, they might start to think, hey, there's something to this gluten-free thing. Maybe we should change how we do things. Maybe we should change our labels. Maybe we should look into getting certified.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think of anything else. I think you've touched on just about everything. But I don't know if there was something else that you had that you wanted just to add.
No, I think really you need to get involved and meet other people that are like you. It just helps the whole process, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
And on the first meeting I went to with GIG, I met 2 other girls that are around my age that had just been diagnosed, and we still get together for dinner, once a month or once every 2 months. And that's great because it's just a sense of community.
Definitely.
And if anyone wants to get involved in the group, we would love that, because we are always looking for people that want to do more. And we do have a cookie exchange coming up. I'm not sure when we're going to have it, but we have it in December. And that way, you bring cookies and you put them in baggies. There's, like you make X amount of dozen, and then everybody gets a little bit of each. So when you go to a party at Christmas time, you can bring your own cookies and not feel like you're deprived.
That's great. Yeah, definitely. I think that'd be great for people to get into, because the holidays is a time when people start feeling left out.
Yeah, and it's nice to, like, you can jump on the listserv and be like, okay, I'm going to a party. What's a quick, appetizer I can bring? Anyone have any ideas?
Yeah.
And, most of my friends know that I, have to eat gluten-free, and so they either have something for me, or they're kind of excited to try, like, whatever I bring. So they'll be like, this doesn't taste weird.
Yeah, this is actually good.
Yeah, and it's like, it's just, it's normal food, just without the gluten.
Yeah, exactly. It's always funny when people try something that my sister has with him. They're like, it tastes the same as normal food.
Yeah, yeah, you're like, it's just the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks everyone for listening into this conversation with Ann Allen, Director of the Gluten Intolerance Group of Austin. If you have any questions or would like to shoot a question to Ann or myself, please leave a comment and keep checking out the postings on G-Free, the gluten-free blog.